It's the season of Easter. So why not go to an obscure book of the Bible like Revelation? The book contains strange images and symbolic creatures. Think Greek mythology. There's the red dragon, 4 horsemen of death, various mythical beasts like the one with 7 heads, the whore of Babylon, the angel of death. The book also contains symbolic numbers. 7, the perfect number, like the days of the week or the days of creation. The number 4, like the 4 corners of the world. The number 6, an imperfect number. So 666, ultimate evil. 12, like the apostles and the tribes of Israel. These are codes that the early reader would have understood. The book is said to have been written after Nero ruled. Nero made an effort to commit genocide against the Jews, to put down rebellions that they were causing. And they wondered, would it always be like this? The book is written in the language of the masses, Koine Greek, so everyone could understand it. It didn't take a scholar to interpret. It's considered apocalyptic literature, which in Greek means revelation or unveiling. Realities being exposed, revealed. The realities of that day: economic insecurity, exorbitant taxes on the poor, disparate levels of wealth, no care for the vulnerable. Sound familiar? All made worse by the politics of the day. Some say we're in an apocalyptic time of great unveiling right now. The underbelly of the culture is being exposed. The Wizard of Oz is being revealed as a self-serving man behind the curtain. The Jews were no strangers to these times. The book contains allusions and images from other books of the Bible, Daniel, Ezekiel, Psalms, and Isaiah, which were written at a time when the Jews were held captive by the Babylonians. And so Babylon becomes cover in the letter for Rome. The Jews who would read the letter from John, who wrote it, would understand. But there was a former time of Israel exploitation as well, when they were enslaved by the Egyptians. So Egypt, Babylon, now Rome. This is nothing new in the history of the Jewish people. Think Nazi Germany. The book is written to 7 local churches, the perfect number, who would understand all the allusions hidden in the letter. The moral dilemma for people of conscience was whether to accommodate the imperial culture or to avoid persecution. If they accommodated, they may stay safe. But if they resisted, trouble may follow them. This book may have some relevant wisdom for us today. The message of the book, a letter to the churches, not to individuals, but to the churches, is that the church is a vehicle for living out a future hope when all will be made well. The church can be and will be an agent in making all things new, a partner with God in that endeavor, in resistance to all that prohibits it. In the Progressive Christianity e-newsletter this week, Reverend Jim Burklow, UCC minister and associate dean at the University of Southern California, writes, "The Christian church is uniquely positioned to be very useful in resistance movements. Embedded in our Judeo-Christian tradition is a rejection of despotism, pharaohs, kings, Caesars. Now's the time to remember our spiritual roots and renew our commitment to resist the forces of autocracy, fighting back against principalities and powers. Christians who choose love, who is God, over billionaire oligarchies, must make our voices heard in the public square. We are in an existential crisis. The book of Revelation is also the last book of the Bible. 66 in the library that starts with Genesis. The first image in Genesis is a beautiful garden where there's peace and harmony. People live in good relationship with themselves, with the creation, and with God. The last book ends with this perfect city, acknowledging the evolution of humanity, but an image of rivers flowing from a high hill, people moving from all parts of the world, safe migration, living in peace, where all have enough. All wear robes of white. So you heard about the man who carried a duffel bag into heaven that was filled with gold bullion. Peter and the archangel Michael were having a little chuckle over him. They said, wait till he sees the streets are paved with gold. Isn't it true that we're always imagining a time when poverty and illness, pain and grief, loneliness and abandonment, human trafficking and genocide and war, and all the horrors that humans inflict upon one another will be no more? God is making all things new. From creation to the city on a hill, to the people who have followed and spread and created small communities, beloved communities, where thriving and flourishing is the norm. This is redemption, or resistance, or if you like Dan's language from last week, restoration. The hope that what can be is more than, better than what is. In this way, God is making all things new through our continuing hope for a better future. Burklow continues in Progressive Christianity, abandon inhibitions. Put up a sign in front of the church that makes our stance crystal clear. Something the social justice team has been talking about, by the way. Put up a little library of banned books. Can you imagine that? A little library out front with children's books, all the ones that are banned, for kids who can't get them in the library. Some other ideas. Stand with Indivisible and protest. Do fundraisers for Christian neighbors. Imagine what our neighbors in Fenville need. Support the Human Rights Campaign or other organizations who support trans folk. Give to Lighthouse Immigration Services to support immigrants in our community. Turn your lawn into a national park. Ask Chris Clark if you wonder what that means. Find a single parent and babysit for them or bring them a meal. Give to the poor. Find a way to give back. Pick one issue, one activity, one way to volunteer. There are two other opportunities I want to mention. The Justice and Peace Action Network of the United Church of Christ this week outlined the implications of a congressional action to cut funding for children and families. The proposal will debilitate the Medicare program, which provides health coverage to 2 in 5 children. It will jeopardize school-based health care services, which help to ensure that students with disabilities have access to the support they need. It will restrict the community eligibility provision cutting 12 million children from free school meal programs. It will gut the SNAP program, which serves 1 in 5 U.S. children in poorer states with monthly funds to purchase food. If you go to the United Church of Christ Justice and Peace Action Network website, you can sign up to send your congressional representatives a letter. And then also something that crossed my desk this week, a petition against legislation. The Equality Michigan organization this week reports Republican Senator and Representative just introduced an extremist bill in the Michigan legislature that aims to prohibit gender-affirming care for trans youth. Denying this care will put young people at greater risk for depression, anxiety, and suicide. M. Zanotti, Senior Director of Movement, Building, and Political Affairs for the organization, writes, "Stand with us to protect the freedom of trans youth and their families to make personal, age-appropriate healthcare decisions with their doctor. We must show up for vulnerable trans youth. We must draw the line right here, right now." And if you go to Equality Michigan, you can sign the petition on their website. Victoria Greer, Princeton University Center for Human Value, discusses hope in an article in Religion and Ethics called The Art of Good Hope. Hoping well involves relying on one's own power of agency and finding or creating a community of people who hope. So caring for oneself and living in community sounds like the church. Self-aware self in community. Think of any great social movement: abolishing slavery, ending child labor, enfranchising women, legalizing gay marriage. They began with someone, moved to many, and then became movements. Movements of people who hoped for freedom, for justice, for equality, and then they made a way. Think Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King Jr., Emily Davison, Harvey Milk. And sometimes those behaviors result in martyrdom. Resisting, being defiant, hoping for a better future for all. This is the work of the church. Rebecca Solnit, American writer and activist in Hope in the Dark, says, "I believe in hope as an act of defiance, or rather as the foundation for an ongoing series of acts of defiance, those acts necessary to bring about some of what we hope for a while. We live by principle in the meantime." Hope is actionable. Recognizing that we've been here before, looking at where our ancestors were, in particular our spiritual ancestors, for inspiring strategies, remaining faithful about self-care so you can be your best, rested and resilient for the moment when you're needed, so that you can do things that empower you and others. Connect with those who need support so you can carry them along. This is the activity of hope, of living into that defiant posture of resisting the powers that denigrate, deny people rights. Angela Davis, quoted on the cover of your program today, says, "You have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time." Amen? Amen. I invite you to continue breathing and to consider what your next act of hope might be.